Let's start with this leadership riddle. You're a leadership team member that has to make a case for where to spend the company's time, money, and resources in order to generate the most revenue in the upcoming year. Company has a traditional marketing team whose primary function is to get qualified leads for your products. Company has a traditional sales team whose primary function is to convert those qualified leads to paying customers. Your marketing team is generating qualified leads at a cost of $10 per lead. Your sales team is closing 10% of qualified leads. You can only choose to either improve the marketing function or improve the sales function. Which function should you choose to improve? A, marketing, B, sales, C, whichever department you have least oversight over. So if the results don't improve, you can blame another team member. D, whichever department you think that is the CEO's favor, you can just mimic what she will want so that you will be in her good graces and get a promotion in the near future. And E, you bring in a consultant and you have the consultant make the recommendation so that if it goes well, you get a pat on the back. Good job bringing in consultant. And if it fails, you can blame the consultant. You have all of your bases covered. What's your answer? Going once, going twice. Well, actually, the answer is F. There certainly isn't enough info to provide to make that right decision. However, in the rest of this video, I will show you the most common actual scenario that has helped many of my clients definitively decide to focus their efforts on improving the sales process rather than investing more marketing dollars to generate revenue. When leaders think their biggest opportunity to drive profitability and ramp up sales is to just ramp up the marketing ad spend, I always tell them to assess how well they think their sales process is going. 9 out of 10 times after going through the following process, they agree that their primary focus near term should really be on improving their sales process, not just improving or increasing their marketing spend. Sorry, marketers, for now. So let's define a little bit about what a good sales process looks like. The ideal state, or the 10th state as we call it using the MIND methodology framework, could include things like you have enough sales to achieve your revenue goals and your profitability goals. You are generating predictable sales. New salesperson could join your sales team and they could start bringing value within a week versus within a few months. You have a close rate that a qualified lead can be closed, which far exceeds the industry benchmark. So if industry you're in, it's 30% closing rate, you should be at that benchmark or above. If you're below that, that's an opportunity. And finally, the most important one that majority of organizations don't have, or they have a very archaic one or an old one or one that's not being used, is you should have a sales playbook. Sales playbook is your standard operating procedure for how you sell. And it includes everything across the board, from what you sell, how you overcome objections, how you train your people to sell better, how you ensure that you're in compliance with legal things that you shouldn't be doing. There are a lot of things that go into a sales playbook. And this is one thing that consistently, when I bring it up in a retreat or in our MIND framework initially, it ends up being the one thing that everyone on the leadership team agrees we should do first. Typically, the first initiative is let's revisit or let's create a sales playbook. There is a lot that goes into a sales playbook. So I'm actually providing you a complimentary list of the top dozen or so elements that go in a sales playbook so you can build your own using the template. No emails required. You can just go to impactdelivered.com, go to the resources section, and you'll see a link to the elements of a solid playbook. So let's give a quick example here. If you're spending $10,000 a month on marketing and you're generating about $100,000 in sales a month, and your close rate is 5% of those qualified leads that are being generated from marketing, you could, in theory, double your sales by just improving your closing ratio from 5% to 10%. That's simple math, yes. However, the part that's not so obvious is that when I ask most organizations to show me their sales playbook, they don't have one. They don't have one that's updated. They don't have one that their sales team is being trained on. They don't have one that their sales team is actually doing mock sales calls and overcoming objections to make sure that they are focusing and saying the right things at the right time to increase their sales ratio. There is such an opportunity. It's typically the low-hanging fruit, proverbial low-hanging fruit for a company to improve their sales process by A, first creating a sales playbook, and B, reinforcing it, updating it consistently to see what works. So there you have it. This is hours and hours of time spent with teams. Majority of the time, they come to the conclusion that instead of spending a bunch of money on marketing, we can actually just focus on improving our sales process. The first step to that is to have a standard sales process that everyone's following consistently, and that is the sales playbook. So that is the number one initiative. Check yourself, check your company. If your mindset is, hey, we'll just keep spending more on marketing to sell more, yes, but that may be the more expensive route. A solid sales process and a solid sales playbook will set a foundation for you that you can keep building on. It's actually your company's intellectual property, how you sell, how you overcome objections. That is super valuable, and it will only keep adding value over time. Once you think that that's a solid, at a B level, you're implementing it, then it may make sense to just increase your marketing spend. Increasing your marketing spend and getting a lead where it only closes 5% of the time is a waste of your marketing dollars. It'd be much wiser to improve your closing rate by having a solid sales process than to waste those marketing dollars. Thank you, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.